Turn the sound up. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, this is the second part of Crossway interview, and I'm gonna have her say her name, her full name, and the country she's from, and her academic credentials.
All right, so my name is Amara Ezeamama-Onye. I've been in the United States since 1994, and I am originally from Nigeria. I identify as a continental African, and so I have a lot of affiliations that are strong connections to Uganda and obviously the African American community here in the United States as well. But I happen to be an epidemiologist, which means I just study patterns of disease and how they're distributed in human populations, and hope that we can use that information to prevent morbidity and mortality and to improve well-being.
Okay, and then just tell a little bit how you became a Christian.
Oh, thank you for that question. So growing up in Nigeria, it's an interesting society in the sense that faith and spiritual living is a part of everything you're doing, actually. So while we were not a big part of in our household, we were not like in the Catholic Church or in the Anglican Church, or we didn't really have strong denominational connections. We were part of smaller churches consistently, and above all, it was a big part of our daily practice. At about the time I was in maybe middle school, we had a maid who lived with us that her name was Comfort, who actually was one of the first time where somebody was like in a very different way, was identified as a born again, practiced faith in a different way, where it was very present, in and I love the way that it was actually freeing. It was not just some of these things that we do. You do Christmas, Easter, New Year, and you are faith was something you did on Sundays, and you had a week church and other things. But for her, it was a way of life in a new way that impressed me, and I began to explore that idea that you could be born again, that you could have a personal relationship with Christ that was beyond what your household does normally. And by the time I got into university, interestingly, as I got away from the house, from our home, I actually became more serious about this way of doing things and gravitated towards the campus fellowships, and got to know God for myself in a little bit, and through a range of experiences. And yeah, I have to say that it was not just like a one-step journey, but this maid we had, and the way she practiced faith was a very interesting window to me about how that the personal relationship, ongoing communion with God, prayer and other things began.
Okay, and what made you go to Michigan State and not Michigan?
Well, thank you for that question. Actually, when I finished, I did my PhD at Brown. I've actually in the United States, I've actually made it a point at very deliberate decisions to actually travel around the U.S. So I arrived in Florida, and then after 2 years I moved to Los Angeles, and in my head, Los Angeles is home within the United States. I went to did my undergrad at UCLA. I really have strong family connections still in LA till date. And so when I was thinking of going to graduate school, the first thing I did was to choose. I took the map of the United States, and I drew a diagonal line, the farthest across from Los Angeles, and it ended up in the area that I was like, what's all around here? And so that's how I actually ended up in the Northeast doing my PhD, because I wanted to decidedly see different parts of the country. And then when I finished my PhD and did my postdoc in the Harvard area, I decided I wanted to see the South, because the South of the United States is something I had heard about. So I looked for faculty positions decidedly in the South area, and I ended up at University of Georgia. I was so excited to move to Georgia. In fact, I remember all my household were singing, Georgia was on my mind. We were literally singing of that, so excited. And unfortunately, the Georgia experience professionally for me was not a good one. Was a necessary one, but it was not a good one. So then I decided that after two years into it, I decided, oh no, this is a mistake, and I began to figure out. And then by the third year, I was really sure it was a mistake, and I knew that I did that. God did not want me to stay in there, and within like 6 months, I was like, I need a new contract. I need out. So I started looking, and this time just prayerfully asking God that I need to be in a place that has strong connections to Africa-related programming because my research was in Uganda. I really didn't want to move to a place and move again because I didn't really I would not have preferred to have the midway transition out of Georgia that I did. So when I interviewed, Michigan State felt right. And then I showed up and I realized they have a huge African center. They have.
Were you surprised?
I was very surprised. I did not look at all. so I didn't think. I was like, why didn't I think about Michigan State right after my postdoc? It was just one of those kind of situations. So, but then I have collaborators at University of Michigan, who are. So I'm not into the school rivalry thing, but I really loved the mascot of MSU, Spartans. I was like, I could live with that, There's a lot of things about Michigan State that I was really excited about. Their connection to Africa, being Spartans, people that don't give up, and yes, we can and we will. It just, I've loved it here.
Man,
and
so
then
many
I met
questions.
people like you, so hey.
Thank you. So many questions, man. I wish I could. Okay. I was going to forget where I was going to go next. So you had so much. So how did you come into Crossway? How did you
How did I find Crossway?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is actually a true story. So I told you that we grew up in our household. It is absolutely abnormal to wake up and to not go to church on Sunday morning. It's never felt right. And so it's a practice that has stayed with me as across wherever I've been. On Sunday morning, I expect that there would be worship. So when we moved to Michigan, we moved on, I think it was Labor Day weekend, and unfortunately we didn't get into our apartment on time, so we ended up getting stuck in a hotel for the week for like three more days than we thought. Then we found a church nearby, near the hotel, the Mount Hope Church, I think it was called, it was a good church. We stayed there for a little bit, but this was around, and it was okay for a year or so. And for me, the deal breaker was just seeing the political connection to service. I couldn't do that, and I stayed through 2015, 2016, the election cycle into the new year, and it just got worse to the point that I just sadly had to go. Like, okay, I remember there was the Charlottesville incident happens, and young woman is killed. I expected to be in church and actually have the church recognize that something is wrong, but I didn't. I saw American Christianity increasingly move towards polarization, and just in a way that I had never imagined, but it made me so sad. So I went to church that Sunday, back to that church, expecting to just see how would they react to this particular just really depressing situation, and it was radio silence. Nothing said about that incident. I remember going to my car and just, my children are like, "Mommy, why are you so sad?" And I said to them, "We're not coming back. We will not be back in this place anymore." And I called my pastor's wife in Los Angeles, who is the godmother of my children. And I said to her, "Mother Grace, I can't do this anymore. I am not, I will not be able to be back in there. And I don't even trust any the voice of Christianity I'm hearing in America anymore to put my children through that." She said, "Yeah, I feel you. I'm sorry that is happening, but here's what. You don't have permission to keep my godchildren home with you on Sunday." So today is Sunday. Just take a week, pray about it, look around, find somewhere, even if you visit and you just, you can go to different places, but please don't wake up on Sunday morning and stay home with the kids. So I promised her I would not, and I made up my mind 3 times that I would. And Sunday morning, I googled and I used the word multinational, intercultural, just to search, from my office, and I saw this church popped up in the Google search. So I said, okay. I looked around; they were very close to me. And Sunday morning, I dressed up. I changed my mind and I made up my mind again. Eventually, we showed up. We showed up really late, and as we walked through the door, Pastor John was praying, and it just really it was so like it was so surreal for me that he was exactly praying about the Charlottesville incident, and he was just in a real godly sorrow, repenting about the hate and the actions that we all have contributed, whether by our actions, inactions, and the way the society has just really gone unhinged. And I never forget that. I was so shocked because but shocked in the sense that I felt like the Holy Spirit just was really like that, even in that little detail. Because for me, it felt like crisis not to be able to be at a place where I didn't trust church anymore. I could not. I mean, when I heard the term Christian evangelical, I just was disgusted by what I was seeing and what it was representing. And so that's how I came to Crossway. And then I remember there was a picnic afterwards. And it was throughout the service, I just kept going I'm like, man, because I was not sure I was going to like the people necessarily. But then I said, oh, well, I'll stay over for the picnic. Let's see another angle of this congregation. And it was God. Yep. So God brought us here, and it was an interesting point of connection.
Wow, so amazing. Wow. Ooh, you have so much to say. I feel like I could do these 2-hour interviews. I just to end on one important note, my most important question of all. So you got to think really hard about this.
Okay.
What's a better country, Ethiopia or Nigeria?
You're talking. So this is. Nigeria right now, and without the crisis going on in Ethiopia and I think Eritrea, it's hard to say without never been to Ethiopia. I can't speak to that, but Nigeria is in a place of serious disarray. I now identify as a Ugandan in my everyday life because I'm just really disappointed with the kind of just the turn of Nigeria. So I hesitate to say that which one is better. I don't know. I don't want to minimize what is going on in Ethiopia by saying Ethiopia is better. But we will be. I would say Uganda is better. That's
because I learned that Ethiopia and Nigeria are kind of like rivals in a sense.
Really?
I think that was something I was told, isn't it? Okay, I guess they're not. All right. Anyway, one more question. I'm sorry. What was your most, if I could get this right, what was your most surprising, what surprised you the most with your walk as a Christian?
I mean, I don't know that it is a surprise as it is the reality that living as a Christian is a very high calling. Actually, it's a very you can. It's easy to say that you're going to love someone and do this, but to actually have that be someone recognize you as a Christian not because you said so, but because they experienced Christ and Christ-like qualities in their interaction with you, and all of us humans are so frail, so fickle, and so so unlovable in so many ways that to do that with any level of consistency is so hard that it is surprising how it surprised me how difficult that journey can be. But it remains an aim, but it's just. I guess we can expect that people would fail, but it's just surprising to see how hard it is to actually live true.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.